I know that's harsh. I know that doesn't apply to all men, but by and large, that shit fucking
I
tracks.
think
Like,
I also remember seeing a video of like this dad, I think I mentioned it in my last video, who owned a bakery but then started to cut back on it, in part because of the fact that he realized he wasn't in his children's lives. And I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, I feel like especially because like when you look at career focus, a lot of time, at least in America, you're expected to work overtime if your salary, like, it's just expected of you. Especially if you work from home or anything like that, you're just expected to work as much as they want you to.
being a stay at home parent causes you to see through the bullshit really quick. Like, I can have a brief interaction and be like, oh, mom's doing literally all the work in that family. Like most guys, when they ask me what I do for work and I tell them I'm a stay at home dad, you can just see them kind of like, fuck you, bro. Like, you just
Yeah,
live.
that is kind of sad. I don't think they should have that sort of thing. I mean, I must admit, unless they're like toddlers, because I did explain before that, like, when my mom looked at putting me in daycare, she had to give up her paycheck and still owe them money, sort of thing. I know that I would kind of be like, "You're that rich in this economy? You can have you can have children in this economy, and you can not work in this economy."
Listed the 35 things you have going on in life right now that center you. Like, you're still the main character, I see. What about your kids? What about your 3 kids and your wife? Being in this role just forces you to see how men collectively, myself included, have dropped the ball for
I
generations
guess this
in.
kind of makes sense. I mean, especially because, like, I know I was talking to one of my male coworkers. Don't ask how this got brought up. I don't remember myself. But mildly discussing child support. I think it was because I had mentioned something along the lines of, like, supporting children through college and how in some states you're expected to pay until you're 20, to your kid is 21, which kind of makes sense because that's about when kids stand to graduate college. And more often than not, parents are, or at least should, support their kids through college. And so I think it's just kind of interesting because from his perspective, he felt that some ways it's kind of wrong, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, if you don't have your kids, then you're like, not to equate, like, let's say it was the dad has the kids full time, or most of the time the mom doesn't. You're effectively paying for daycare. You're paying for your ex spouse, ex. Well, can you have an ex baby daddy? I mean, if you have a baby daddy, isn't that always your baby daddy or your baby mama? Can you have an ex baby mama? Like, what would that be? Like, I don't know.
terms of supporting our wives and our children. Being a stay at home dad forces you to see that, like, a paycheck equals manhood. And as long as you're checking that box, you can stay the main character. And now we're in this fucking male
I think
loneliness
that was an
epidemic.
interesting point. I think I would have rather seen him elaborate a little bit more on that. Mostly because I do think it's an interesting point, but I don't think he defended it very well. I mean, I could be wrong.
The main character. And now we're in this fucking male. As long as you're checking that box, you can stay the main
I
character.
mean, I guess I kind of get what he's trying to say, but at the same time, I think exploring a little bit more of like, especially because, like, I know some men are genuinely afraid to cry, which is kind of crazy to me. I get in some situations that, or I get getting embarrassed. I mean, I think I'm a little bit of an easy crier, so trust me, I understand getting embarrassed. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that easy of a crier, but like for the instance the other day, like a table kind of fell on me and scratched up my leg pretty good, and we went down to the office to get some band-aids and an alcohol wipe. And I remember my number one thing being, I don't want to whimper or cry in front of these two grown-ass adults.
And now we're in this fucking male loneliness epidemic where, like, women have been lonely for centuries and we've made fun of them for it. But now men are lonely and women are no longer choosing men. So we
Yes,
have,
the
like,
rise of lesbianism. My time to shine is here. No, I guess I kind of get what he's saying. I don't know. I think though it's slightly different in how they were lonely. At least what I know about history, and assuming that's what he's talking about in terms of history. Making a few assumptions there. Because like the women were expected to, in some ways, do more of the house sitting, but they would be around children a lot. So you'd be around people who can't fully form thoughts and can't fully have opinions or think that tantrums are the best way to get things. But like other than that, I guess they were kind of lonely. But I don't know. It's an interesting concept to me to think about, especially because if you look at today, like I think a lot of like I mean, it could also be because of who all I talk to and where I've grown up. But like teachers, women, I would say that they socialize a lot. Or nurses, again, you think of them as a bedside manner. So it's just a little interesting to consider.
books and full podcasts dedicated to this. Now it's an epidemic. Like, fuck off, bro. I can fully see why women are no longer choosing us. Like, most of us ain't shit. Being a stay at
Yeah,
home
and I
dad.
mean, there's also, I think, at least in some parts, and granted, I'm a queer person, so of course it's always going to end up being queer in some way to me. But it does seem like, once you're able to not have to be in lavender marriages, that you have more options. Not only that, but like now you aren't confined to wherever you grew up, you know? You could date someone across the world from you and realistically at least somewhat make it work. Video next, but that's mostly because I think it's so interesting to see how different this is compared to like the stay-at-home wives sort of videos, if that makes sense. Like most of the time, I feel like they end up directly addressing something of like a point of criticism or something. Even like when they're going about the day in their life, it tends to be because someone asked about it in what could be like a I don't know if I want to say a mean way, but like a more negative way, I guess. That's still not quite the best term for it, but it's not a positive thing. It's definitely more towards the criticism side.
Day in a life as a house husband. Dropped off my wife at work,
I
took a
think that's
nap,
quite sweet, dropping off his wife at work. I mean, that kind of makes sense, especially because then you could save on just having like one car or one vehicle sort of thing.
organized our room.
See, and then like he talks about like actually living it, whereas I feel like most of the time when you see like traditional wives, you see them promoting it. Like I'm glad he is not. I don't know if I want to say I'm glad he's not promoting it because I don't think there's anything inherently wrong. But if you don't do proper disclaimers, then it can definitely be bad.
Made our bed, fixed our living room, organized the kitchen, washed and put away the dishes, refilled our Berkey, took out the trash, stacked and recycled our moving boxes, went on a run. After that, I picked up my wife from work, and this was her reaction when she walked through the door.
And see, I think that's really nice, especially because I feel like a lot of times when I hear about more of like the trad wife things, their husbands don't tend to be supportive, and I think it's very clear that she's very supportive of her husband.
After spending quality time with my wife, I began to cook dinner. I cut some veggies, whipped up some chile, and then my wife helped me in the kitchen.
See,
Checked out a
his
show you
wife helped him in the kitchen, and I think that I get that like his whole point of staying at home is to like kind of do those sorts of things that basically the house labor. But I do think it's also kind of nice that like his wife is helping out. Just because everybody wants a break from their job. I mean, who doesn't?
guys recommended. Put away the leftovers, cleaned the kitchen, put my beautiful wife to sleep, took my 15, then started to pack her lunch, reminded her that I love her, and went to bed.
Dude,
Day in the
I
life.
always love when someone else makes my lunch for me. I've gotten to the point now where I negotiate with my mom because she's out of work for right now, that if I help her with her classwork, then she helps me with my lunch. Also, meal prepping. If you don't have anyone else to do your lunch for you, you do it yourself. But if you do it on like the weekend, I know nobody wants to, but trust me, it is so much easier to go into the fridge, scoop a spoonful into something, and then boom. To me, it's even easier than leftovers, but that's mostly because I like being able to eat the same thing every day. I like having set expectations for my lunch. There's nothing actually said in it other than text on screen. But I think it's so weird to me that like, look at this. Pilates, worked on my projects, did laundry, went on a 2 kilometer walk, and cooked dinner. But if you think about it, like there's cleaning the house, which I don't think was solicited. I feel like a lot of this is just his wants and nothing other than cooking dinner. Like, what about making her lunch? What about making her, breakfast? I don't know. I think there's a lot of romanticizing of this part. I know that one of the comments was basically saying how this is a woman you all would be supportive. I would have the same criticism. I had the same criticism towards women in my previous video. It is apparent that you don't actually know what this entails and have a clearly romanticized aspect of what home ownership looks like. Not only that, but to me, it also gives the vibes of your mom did everything for you, or someone else is still doing most of everything for you. Because otherwise, or like making your bed, like there's trivial tasks that maybe you wouldn't include, but like the fact that it's all centered around him, I think goes kind of back to the first video's point. Men are so self-centered that they don't even realize that they are so far up their own ass. Such an interesting one because I think it points out a lot of good points, and I think it's one of the more well-educated videos and more genuine videos that I've seen on this topic.
My husband is a stay-at-home dad, and this is what our house looked like after dinner
And see, this is
tonight.
part of the reason why I know that woman ain't a mama. Because look at this. Her dad is stay at home, but like he does stuff throughout the day. And she's gonna say this later in the video. The mess never ends with little children. The mess never ends with adults, let alone children who can't fully form thoughts or help around the house to pull their own weight.
If I didn't work 1 minute away and come home several times throughout the day, I would never know that this house had been completely spotless at 10 a.m.
And she'll get onto this later, and it's part of, I think you can relate to it somewhat with your basic 9 to 5 and not necessarily this unpaid 9 to 5. But yeah, I think it's interesting to think about the fact that it really does look like he did not do his job. It looks like he just sat on his ass and did nothing all day, which I think is unfortunate because, I mean, to me, it just looks like the children had fun. The children had a good day, you know?
It doesn't matter how much you clean, the mess literally never ends with small children. And it's really hard for stay at home parents because it looks like you didn't complete a task.
To me, it looks more than like you didn't complete a task, mostly because I mean, let's say you were to turn in your homework about how you cared for your baby. I mean, what are you going to check? You're going to check, I guess, if the diaper's clean, if they're fed. You're going to look at all these things that can be measured after the fact and not during the fact. You don't see them like rocking the baby to sleep, especially because, like, what she's saying here, like, you just don't see that because it looks like their task is not done, even though they looked after their children all day, which to me is the main point of having a stay at home parent, you know?
Go say thank you to the stay at home parent in your life because, good Lord, their job is
I'm
hard.
sure their job is hard. That's part of the reason why people don't have children. But so yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you want something that isn't just stay-at-home dads or moms to watch. Like I said, I kind of want to post more revival long-form videos. I just don't have enough time to do it. I know these videos are also kind of low effort, and I do apologize for that. I think it would be a little bit more if I was willing to show my face on the internet, but even though I know I will never show my bare face and only ever in cosplays, I don't want to do that without getting something in return. You know?